Now, if you're one of those people that was really disappointed when I took the old coal forge out in favor of the propane forge and the induction forge, hopefully this is going to excite you a little bit, just like it excites me. Yeah, it's amazing. It's actually level from the concrete on one side to the brick on the other side. Of course, the mixer quits working. Now somebody's already thinking, maybe typing in the comments section, why didn't you just go with the welded up stand? This is all you need. You don't need to do the masonry around this. And while that is absolutely true, if I was just looking for functionality, I could make this functional in the next day or two and be up and running, be able to forge in any of these forges again. And in some ways, it would be better because I would have more accessibility underneath the forge to put quenching oil, bucket of vermiculite, the coal for the coal forge, all that kind of stuff. But I want this to be more than a functional forge. I want this to be a sculptural piece, an artistic piece, something that really inspires me when I'm in the shop. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and go on with the can wall. I've got some arch forms here. These are just plywood forms. They're temporary. They hold up the masonry until the mortar dries and will hold arches. And that means I'll have access underneath to dump the ashes, store some of those buckets, have room for the blower, all that kind of stuff. And it does make it a little bit more elegant and a little bit more artistic, which after all, is kind of what I'm going for. Part of this forge build is inspired by the big adobe forge that we saw here at the Martinez Hacienda outside of Taos. So I thought I'd come back and see if I can take a closer look at it. Well, I don't know if this old forge is original to the site or if there may have been something else in here at one point, and this is something that's been built later. but it's still a cool old adobe forge. Now, as far as the cans, bottles, all that kind of stuff, this is based on some of the architecture from the Earthships that are popular in northern New Mexico, can walls, bottle walls, all that kind of stuff. The cans are just kind of a filler material. It allows for less concrete mix to be used in building this up. Because it is not a poured mix, it's built up. It allows a little bit more artistic freeform approach to it. Something that's technically not very difficult, doesn't require the expertise that regular masonry would require if you're building with stone or with brick, something like that. And I find it to be a very intriguing structure, more than strong enough for what I'm doing with it here. The bottles will actually remain exposed, just the very ends of them, and that will make a decorative arch at the very front of the forge. And that should be something that just makes the whole thing more interesting. Back area will get the chimney, so it'll be similar to most side draft forges, except that it'll be in the back of the fire pot instead of on the side of the fire pot. That should provide plenty of draft to clear the smoke out of the shop. I finished the opening of the chimney with some refractory cement yesterday, kind of built it up using it kind of sculpturally. Gives it a much better look, but it did crack along the top. It feels good and solid. I think it's going to be okay. Maybe a skim coat of the adobe just to make it blend in better and cover up those cracks. If it falls off in the long run, I'll just have to redo it. But now I get to go mix some adobe and get to the fun part of this project. I've seen people that are really good at putting on plaster of various sorts using a hawk and a trowel, and they sure make it look easy. But personally, I find this slap and smear method to work best on these irregular surfaces, especially with the adobe. This is as fine as I went with my base coat of adobe on this forge. For the finish coat, I want to sift this clay down through my finest sieve and get rid of all the lumps that I can. I'm going to use one 5-gallon bucket of the finely sieved clay soil and one 5-gallon bucket of the finest sand I could find. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of mica to add some sparkle to the finished plaster. This will also get some more straw in it just because I like the look. The finished coat doesn't strictly need the straw.
I can barely manage a spray bottle with gloves on.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, gloves are inconvenient. This stuff can be kind of hard. Dry your skin out in the mud.
Yeah. Are we gonna go clear inside?
We can. I don't think we need to go to the back of that leg or up underneath or anything. But I think we can go around the insides of the legs anyways, till it gets inconvenient.
There's a little dip here. Do you want that left or kept?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay, we'll just
I
leave
mean,
it
I don't want this to be too good.
then. Well,
You know what? Nice job.
not much chance of that. But.
Yeah. Well, it's been a few days since we put on that final plaster coat of adobe. And there's this one area here that hasn't quite dried out because it was a little bit hollow and we filled it out, put a lot more mud in there than the rest of it got. But I'm kind of like a kid at Christmas time and I can't wait to open my present. So we're going to build a fire and see if this works. I'm sure the forge part will work. The big question is, does the chimney draw? So there we not only have our first fire, our first forging, and our first forge weld in the new forge, and everything went spectacularly well. Really impressed with how well the smoke draws out of here. While this is the same concept of my old side draft forge hood, this is performing much better. I think a lot of that is because it's a little bit further forward. The opening is a little bit smaller, but the chamber just beyond the opening is larger. So there's more room for things to expand inside the opening as it heads up the chimney. I built this forge because I wanted to do something really creative, something more artistic with my forge, something that inspires me to be creative every time I walk into the shop. Building with the cans and the bottles and the adobe is absolutely not necessary. You can build a whole thing that functions just as well, completely fabricated out of standard angle irons, tubing, things like that. You could build it out of brick, you could build it out of stone, but I really wanted that creative aspect. And this forge has been 2 months in the making. Now, if you're one of those people that was really disappointed when I took the old coal forge out in favor of the propane forge and the induction forge, hopefully this is going to excite you a little bit, just like it excites me. This is not a shift into exclusively forging in a coal forge. This hearth is built large enough that the propane forge can sit on one side, the induction forge can sit on the other side, and I have all three available all the time. If I'm working on a big project in the coal forge, I'll probably move the induction forge and the propane forge off to give myself more space, and I may make a heat shield to protect the electronics of the induction forge when I am working in the coal forge. But there's plenty of room to work in this for most projects without having to move either one of those unless there's just some other condition present. The fire pot that I have in this forge is the Centaur Vulcan. That's the same fire pot I have in the other forge, and I've had that same model fire pot in previous forges, and it has always been spectacular. I have never had to replace one because it was damaged. I've just added another one because I was building a different forge, and if I sold an old forge, the fire pot went with it. The blower is the Centaur PB50, I think, with the variable speed control, so it's got a rheostat on it. You control the speed. I also put a damper in so I can control the draft with a damper, and had my electrician buddy come out and wire this all up. So it's hardwired and has a switch. I can turn it on and off without adjusting the speed control, so it always comes back to whatever my preferred speed is. I think it's going to be a way better system than the full speed blower that I have on the other forge, and it's a lot quieter than that other forge blower is, so it's going to be a lot more pleasant to work around. If you recall, we made a little door for the back of the chimney. That's all installed, so I can open that door up and run long bars all the way through this if I need to. Doubt that I'll do that often, but it's nice to have the option. Now, to be completely honest, one of the things that I missed the most when that old coal forge went away was the tong rack that was on the end. So I built that into this forge. And this is a place to put my most used tongs. That keeps me from having to scrounge around the shop trying to find the tongs I want. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by to watch today's video. That really means a lot. I want to give a special shout out to my channel members and my Patreon patrons. Channel members usually receive the videos a few days early, while paid members on Patreon at a certain level not only receive the videos early, they receive those videos ad-free, and they receive some of the videos from the Black Bear Forge 2 channel and my personal channel, John Switzer, all ad-free and early release over on Patreon. So if that interests you, that might be worth checking out. But again, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you have time in your day to get out to your shop. Do something that inspires you, but have fun. Stay safe. Wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.